Yo, what up, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to another Game of the Week preview. This time we are previewing the New York Knicks facing the Milwaukee Bucks. Come on, man. We got to get revenge against this team. They beat us earlier in the season, so we got to make sure we come correct. And who better to help preview this game is none other than my guy, Rohan Kati. He covers the Milwaukee Bucks for the Gyrostep Podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network family, just like us. So we're going to get into it. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And I know I got Bucks fans in here because they're going to be talking that ish all the way through. What going to beat us, especially since this is a play-in tournament game. Not play-in tournament, NBA Cup game. I'm sorry. There's too many tournaments going around. I'm going crazy right now. It's the NBA Cup, the Emirates Cup. So you know they're ready to come correct. But let's get into it, man. Let's get into this. Rohan, my man, it's been a minute. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm always happy to talk basketball, especially against a team or about a team like the Knicks, who's, poised to be a really good team in the Eastern Conference this year. We're going to get into that. NBA Cup game, it's going to be really important. The Bucks have never lost an NBA Cup group play game in the what is this, the third year of existence of it? They've only technically ever lost one game ever. It was the semifinal in the first year against the Pacers. They obviously they won the cup last year. They're 2-0 in group play this year. It's going to be an important game for the Bucks here and the Knicks. If things go as it has the potential to be a win and get in game.
Absolutely. This is a win. This is a do or die, especially for the Knicks right now. Knicks are now 1-1 with group play, so they need to win these next two games. They got to win. We're recording right now Wednesday at 2:13 p.m. We're recording right before the Knicks play the Hornets. So they got to beat the Hornets, and then they got to take on the Milwaukee Bucks on Friday. So these games are highly important for New York to make it into the tournament. Look, they've made both tournaments 2 years in a row. Not necessarily. I can't. They have. Pretty sure I have to go back on. I'm pretty confident that they have not won like the group outright, but they have made it based on the point differential and their record. So, very important stuff for the Knicks right now. I know they want to get in there, show that they can compete, but we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. But first and foremost, before we talk about the cup and all the breaking down the game and this, that, and the third, what have been your thoughts about New York this season? Because with the moves that they've done, the new head coach, that being Mike Brown, everyone's given the Knicks like this runway to be the favorites coming out of the East. But what do you think about that?
I think they're still one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference. There's no getting around that. I mean, sure, they're what, 10-6 right now. They're currently fifth in the Eastern Conference. I It's too early to really have too much stock into record. It really is. It's like the Bucks 2-8 last year and they almost won 50 games. Like this is it's still too early to be so worried about record and things like that that I still think this team is really good. They're getting a lot of things out of their players. They're starting to maximize, like Mikal Bridges is having an amazing season. It is it's I get so much envy when I look at this Knicks team because they have just guys who are playing really good basketball up and down the roster and they fit really well together. Like it's a well put together team. And I know like they've had some issues. There've been like some guy like I know Jalen Brunson missed like two games here and there, but it's been relatively healthy as well. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like it's been a team that, still trying to figure it out. There's a growing pains whenever there's a new head coach. There's always going to be that little bit of it. Trust me, Bucks fans know about the growing pains of a new head coach. They've had to deal with it a lot recently. And there's always that period of figuring it out. You have to figure out what this new style is going to be. These are players who are used to playing a different style of basketball now have to learn new schemes, new offensive and defensive schemes. It takes a little bit of time. So I don't put too much stock into the record. I think this is a really good team and will be one of the top two teams in the Eastern Conference this year.
Yeah, I think they will be as well. I know a lot of people are talking about, Detroit right now, and how they just come out guns a-blazing. They're number one in the East right now, 15-2. You got the Raptors who are now impressing people who are 13-5. Miami has come out of nowhere, well, 12-6. So those three teams, we kind of knew Detroit would be on that upward trajectory after how they performed in the postseason last year. Maybe you had some questions based on the guys that they lost during the offseason, like Malik Beasley and getting Duncan Robinson in return. But hey, this is where they are. This is where they are right now with them being Detroit. And then you go down the spots and you get Cleveland, who's fourth. Right now, fifth is New York, who is 10-6, as you mentioned. So I still think they are favorites as well to come out of the East. It's just for them, right? It's just getting guys healthy and getting in sync so that way they can compete at the highest ultimate level. But with that being said, right, because when you're watching this team, and I don't know how close you've been watching the Knicks so far this season, but since we don't have OG, Mitch has been on a, minutes restriction, and like not playing back to backs and making sure, he can get the rest. I don't want to say not playing back to backs, but they're just trying to make sure they're managing him. They're managing
Yeah.
his games so that way he's ready and there for April. Like I said, we don't have OG. We just lost Landry Shamet to a separated shoulder. They're calling it a shoulder sprain, but I mean, we saw this man's shoulder and arm just hanging, and this man ran to the locker room. But Ron, fans are up in arms right now because, we on a little bit of skid. We lose to the Magic twice, who was a physical and imposing team. And, people are out here saying, hey, trade for Anthony Davis, and I'm just like, whew,
That'll solve your injury problems, right?
yeah, right. Solve the injury problems. And just want to say, I want to correct myself because I know I was on post game last week say Anthony Davis didn't play in any postseason games. My mistake, people. Didn't play any postseason games because the Mavericks didn't get past the play-in. I'm going to put this out there right now, Rohan. The NBA has to do something with the play-in tournament games, like stats being corrected, because there's nowhere where it's being housed, and it's like we got to figure that out. All right, but
It's same with the NBA Cup championship game
same.
because it's those sets just exist nowhere. They're just in the ether.
Yeah,
Like
it's just they're just out there. You got to do all this 10 times research to go find it. And so my apologies, people, on the Anthony Davis stuff. Even though he didn't make the postseason and he did play in the play-in tournament, I'm not taking a guy with that much injury history. Not going to do it right now, especially for Karl Towns, who showed up more often than not. But anyway, getting back to the point, what do you think about that? Where people are now like, you see a little bit of adversity right now. You're down injuries, or you're down with like players missing due to injuries, I mean, and you're going through a little bit of a struggle. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's a good opportunity to learn, right? Because if one, you'd rather have this happen earlier rather than later in the season when there's plenty of runway left. There's so many games left to be played in the regular season. You'd rather, if you're going to have injuries happen, which they're going to happen to every team, you'd rather have them happen earlier in the season compared to later in the season because then you have so much time to ramp back up and get players going and find out who you are as a team. But I think it's a moment of opportunity for the Knicks to like, you're gonna OG is gonna be coming back relatively soon, right? I think it was a
It's
reevaluation in 2 weeks, but that was like a week ago.
right.
So in the near distant future, that's like medium distance, I guess is a better way of saying it. Uh, you get to find out what other guys can do and step up. One thing I like to talk about with role players is I want them to be overqualified for their role, right? You want them to be able to do more than what they have to. Sure, you might have some guys who, you only want them to stand in the corner, or you only want them to play some defense, you only want them to do certain things. But if you know that they can do more, that way, if it gets to the end of the shot clock or something like that, you have a trashed possession, you want to be able to rely on guys who can do more. And this is the period when you have guys out where you learn if people can do more than what they usually are asked to do. Who's going to be able to step up when, you have these injuries happen? That's how you learn about these things. Like, for example, I'll use the Bucks as an example. Shocker, I know. You have Kevin Porter Jr. go out with an injury game one. Now you know that Ryan Rollins is your starting point guard. You have these opportunities to be able to showcase who you are as a player and who's going to be able to step up, which helps not only with like your own internal development, but it's like, what are you going to do with the trade deadline? Some guys might increase their value. Some guys might know like, oh, this is where we actually need to shore up because we don't have as much insurance as we would want in certain areas. So it's unfortunate, obviously, to do with injuries and go through these growing pains, lose to these teams. But it's an opportunity, right? Because the Knicks are too good of a team to really let this really bother them. This isn't going to hamstring the season. It's not like they're going to become a play-in team. That's just not going to happen. They're too good. It's an opportunity to see what you have and who's really ready to step up. So it's more of an opportunity than it's really like, a moment of, is the season over or anything like that. It's not. It's obviously not.
No, it's not. It's not over at all, and that it's just it's the course for any NBA fan, right? Where you just start going through like a little bit of lull, and you're like, there's a little bit of panic. Or in Knicks world, there's a lot of panic. Is this team real? Is this team a championship contender? Who are these guys? We got the whole fraudulent alarm being thrown out there, like left, right, and center, and it's just crazy to me to think like, look, I could be disappointed in some of the performances, like especially against the Magic. They let go of the rope in the fourth quarter. They did not finish the game strong, and then they allowed the Magic just to create, this wide like separation throughout the entire game where it was close. It was very close throughout all three quarters. In the fourth quarter, it's like, nah, we give up. We're ready to go home. And it's stuff like that though that concerns me because this is a team that was inconsistent last year due to like the mental toughness, fortitude, being able to be consistent on a night to night basis and being locked in. And that's the only thing I will say is that, hey, is this team ready to do that again this year and go above and beyond that and be locked in? But I agree with you 100%, Rohan. Like, you want to see guys right now play above their weight and see who do you have on this roster that's capable of performing. And look, if you're a front office and you actually don't believe in a guy, but the guy decides to like outshine what their actual worth is, then to your point, then you get some trade values. Then you're like, you know what? And for the Knicks who are looking for like maybe you're because there's three areas that I'm having a conversation with all my friends and with my colleagues and everything like that. Like, hey, you know, do we need a point guard, wing, or center? And like you can make a valid point for all three of those positions. If someone plays above that and you can go make a trade before the trade deadline, hey, that's what you got to do at some point. But yeah, me and the guys have been talking about this a lot. So I get your point. I agree with you on what you're saying with like this is a great opportunity to see who can overachieve to a certain degree. But let's talk about your team, man. Let's talk about your team. Let's talk about actually
We
before we
have
do
to.
that, before we start talking about your team, salute the Knicks Nation. Hit that thumbs up button for your boy. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. All right. And just remember, this show is brought to you by DraftKings. All right. All your favorite NBA players are back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. New customers bet just $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass. Plus, score $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that promo code KFTV. That's promo code KFTV. Bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass plus $300 in bonus bets if your bets win. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-97777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, pass through of per wage tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. So remember, use that promo code KFTV. That's promo code KFTV. Bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass. Plus get $300 of bonus bets if your bet wins. The crown is yours. All right. Now that we did that, let's get into your team now. Now let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. So Rohan, your Milwaukee Bucks are right now 11th in the Eastern Conference Final. I know Giannis is missing some time, and you guys are just trying to figure things out. Guys are 8-10. All right, you guys are on a 5-game losing streak. What is
Yep.
going on with your Milwaukee Bucks, man? What has happened around here?
It's been a lot of different things. Obviously, the biggest factor is the Giannis injury, right? He's missed 4 games now. He is, like you said, we're recording on Wednesday before the Bucks play the Heat in another NBA Cup game. Uh, Giannis is listed as questionable for that game. I don't know if he's actually going to play, but we shall see. I think if anything, it's more likely that he returns against the Knicks. Uh, but it was given a 1 to 2 week timetable for his groin adductor strain, and it's been over a week. So it could be any game now. But that's been a lot of it. I mean, this team was built to maximize and really be well around Giannis, and this team was obviously going to go nowhere without Giannis. This like the Bucks are never going to go anywhere without Giannis. Like that's just not. It's just come on. He's one of the best players in the league. Uh, They've just been really, really hurt by injuries. And I'll say that first and foremost because one, the Giannis injury. Kevin Porter Jr., their opening night starting point guard, has lost 9 minutes after he plays 9 minutes due to an ankle sprain. And then when he starts return to the court activity, he tears his meniscus.
Oof.
It's just been a lot. He should be returning relatively soon. He got assigned to the Wisconsin Herd today for practice. So that's probably indicative of around a week or so return. So that's been a big thing. Torian Prince, who's been a good role player for them, is out indefinitely because he has a herniated disc and it requires surgery. So he might be out for the entire year. Who knows at this point? First and foremost, injuries have just been killing them. Two, they have had the offensive identity that they really wanted to lean into this year just hasn't been there. And when I say they wanted to lean into, it's because they started with a small lineup of Kevin Porter Jr. turned into Ryan Rollins, AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr., Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Miles Turner. And that lineup is relatively small, but it's meant to maximize your offense. You're meant to be running, you're meant to be playing with pace, you're meant to be getting up a ton of shots, and they just haven't. They really
Mm.
haven't. Gary Trent Jr. shooting hasn't really been there. AJ Green hasn't had as many shooting opportunities, even though he's just like a lights out shooter. He's shooting like 60 something percent from the corners, like 48% or something year as a whole. It's ridiculous. You should be getting up like 10 attempts a game, but it hasn't materialized, right? They haven't been able to play with that pace and space that they really wanted to, which has led to them tinkering with the starting lineup a bit. Comes Kyle Kuzma, out goes Gary Trent Jr. And you want to be able to play big, you want to be able to be defensive, like play good defense. Like Kyle Kuzma is actually locked in on defense and playing well on that regard. But they just haven't found that offensive focus, which is wild considering that they still continue to lead the league in effective field goal percentage and but remain like a bottom 10 team in terms of offensive rating. And you might be wondering, how does that even happen? How do those two go hand in hand? How can you be both like an amazing offensive team in terms of like the way you shoot, but also be a terrible offensive rating team? One, you don't create transition opportunities. They're one of the worst teams in terms of transition opportunities and effectiveness. Two, they're just not getting up enough shots. Like in the half court, when they do get up a shot, it's going to be pretty good. They just don't get up enough shots. That's what I was talking about in terms of pace. They're not playing with the pace they really wanted to, and it's just leading to them just not being able to be like a cohesive offense. Obviously, when Giannis is in there, it changes a lot. He's a 30 plus point per game scorer. He's going to spray the ball out. But defensively, they have not locked in either. Like when you want to play small and play with pace and space, you kind of have to give up a little defensively. And you live with that if you're going to be able to create those amazing offensive opportunities. But if the
Hmm.
offense isn't there, you can't justify the defense not being there, which
Right.
is why having Kyle Kuzma in the starting lineup now has actually kind of helped. Ryan Rollins is making a case for all defense. Miles Turner has been a good rim protector. But when you lose Giannis and you have to put in bad defenders, your defense also takes a hit. Like when you put in Bobby Portis, I don't need to tell Knicks fans about Bobby Portis's defense. It's not anything. It's a negative. He got one game in that starting lineup and was immediately pulled. It just does not. It just doesn't work. Everything starts to break. Everything starts to come apart at the seams, and that's how you get blown out by the Trailblazers on the second night of a back-to-back for them when they're traveling and they have like six guys out. It happens. You pressure Ryan and he'd take the ball out of his hands, who's been the Bucks' second best player and been their like next best shot creator. You're able to pressure him, double him. You're okay playing uneven defense, like because no one else can do anything. It's just been a mess that this team has been trying to figure out. I didn't think it would be this bad without Giannis. I knew it would be bad. I didn't think it'd be this bad, and it's
Mm.
really, really troubling. So that's how the Bucks end up at 8-10. That's how the Bucks end up losing five in a row. They don't have any sort of consistency on either end of the court, and they lost their best player.
Are you concerned at any point where, because look, I know Giannis played that Cavs game and then that's where he got injured, and he's only missed 3 games, Sixers, Pistons, Blazers. But is there any part of you that is concerned that this team will fall even farther than when they currently are? Or are you confident that once he comes back, that you guys will start to climb the standings again? Because you guys are 8 and 10. You're not too far from behind. You're not too far behind Boston, Philly, Chicago. I mean, you're really not even out of it. That's all. 2 games, you're back at 500, and you were talking you jumping back into the middle of the standings.
Yeah, I'm not too worried. It's the same thing I was talking about with the Knicks earlier. It's too early to really worry or get too obsessed with like standings. It's way too early. Are they going to be a top three team in the East? No, but I didn't think that was going to happen regardless. Can they be like a can they make it to fourth? Probably at some point if you're able to get healthy. Like there's still so much basketball to be played that I'm not too worried about standings or too concerned about that at all. Like you said, you're 2 games back from being just in the middle of the pack again. And a lot of these teams are going to fall off. The Bulls fall off is going to be amazing and has been amazing. It's going to continue.
Oh,
It's
jeez.
it's just like they're just not good. But I'm not really that concerned. I think if you get healthy and have a chance to actually show what this team was meant to be, I think they can play well. They can be good. Like I'm not going to say they're going to be great, but can they be like a top half playoff team? Absolutely.
Okay. So you're still confident in your Milwaukee Bucks climbing up the standings, potentially even getting to a top four in the East. All right. So let me ask you this then. What's the outlook for this team? Because look, you went in and got Miles Turner this offseason. You wanted that shooting big right next to Giannis. You don't got Brook Lopez anymore, so you went out and got Turner. So what is the expectations this year? Because when you make moves like that, it kind of indicates that you're looking to compete for a title this year. Is that the realistic expectation for the Bucks? Or is just like, hey, we're doing like soft rebuilding because the guys that we had aged out. We had to get rid of Chris Milton. We had to get rid of Brook Lopez. We got rid of Drew Holiday, early. So now we're just trying to figure out who's going to fill those roles and be able to flank Giannis and get us back to where we were when we defeated the Phoenix Suns for that NBA title. Is that what's going on here? And so, like, one, is that's what's going on here with the soft reset and looking to continue to compete for a championship, or is this like what's going on for this season?
Yeah, it's they're in the middle of like their massive retooling because, like you said, their old core aged out. They like Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard, and after him, Brook Lopez. They aged out. You can't really continue to do that. Like Chris Middleton gave everything he had for this Bucks team, and unfortunately, his body just gave up on him. Is getting slower and slower every year with a league that's getting faster and faster every year. Like it's it was just they are Bucks legends, but it's just not this year. Like it's you have to be able to retool and reset because otherwise you're just going to be stuck. And that's what the Bucks kind of felt like they were stuck. They weren't winning any playoff games. They weren't or series. They weren't really doing anything, and their core was getting older. So what do you have to do? You have to go out and retool. You have to get younger. You have to find guys that match the honest timeline. So you go out and get like Miles Turner, who's like not like super young, but compared to Brook Lopez, like yeah, absolutely. Like he's 30, I believe. So, still in his prime. Ryan Rollins is 23 years old. He just turned 23 in July. Like AJ Green is 26. Gary Trent Jr. is 27. Like these are guys who try to fit the honest timeline. Kyle Kuzma, obviously younger than Chris Middleton. Like it's it's trying to, reset and retool and try to find that new core. Because this Bucks core that, got them to, the mountaintop, they won a title. It didn't just come out, they didn't just assemble from just anywhere. None of them were just superstars. Like Brook Lopez is a free agent you build upon. Like you'd make a trade for a Drew Holiday, you develop a guy like Chris Middleton. You have to be able to find these guys organically and pick where you can because, it's not like a glamour market or anything. You can't just go out and get whoever you want. It's you have to find the spaces where you can build. And the Bucks did that, and now they're just trying to do that again. You're trying to find like, oh, can we go out and sign a free agent center who's going to pace the floor and space the floor next to Giannis? Yeah, let's do that again. Let's go get Miles Turner. Can we start to develop some guys internally who are just been given up on by other teams, like a Chris Middleton, who's given up like by the Pistons? Yeah, you can do that. Maybe you find a guy like Ryan Rollins who was uh, had some issues with the Warriors. He was part of that Jordan Poole trade, had a little bit of an incident at a Target, and cut by the Wizards. Like, can you find him, turn him into a two-way, see what he's got? Yeah, you have to be able to find these diamonds in the rough. You have to get really, really, really lucky to be able to do that. But they're trying their best. This, I would say the outlook is, yeah, they're trying to reset the timeline. They're trying to say like, okay, we have to find our next core. And that's what they're trying to do. Is it going to be as successful? I don't, it's impossible to say. It's almost impossible to be as successful as the other core. Like what, like it's really hard to win a title, and it's
It
amazing
is.
that they won one. And they had to have so much luck go into that. Can you have that much luck again? I don't know, but they're gonna try. That's the thing about the Bucks. They're always gonna try. They're gonna innovate. They're gonna find new ways. Uh, expects them to, right? No one expected them to trade for Damian Lillard. No one expected them to really trade for Drew Holiday, in fact. Uh, no one expected them to Damian Lillard and sign Miles Turner. Like, and they always find different avenues for success or new ways to innovate. And yeah, I would say the expectations are try as much as you can. This is won a playoff series in like 4 years. Like this is they need to win. Uh, or 3 years, 3 years. Uh, you need to be able to actually like win a playoff series. Can you who knows how far you can go? You're gonna have the best player in every series in the East. Like it's going to that's what's gonna happen. Who knows what'll happen? Giannis can carry you to wherever you want, but you just need to start to win. I don't know if there's expectation title because that kind of seems ridiculous. Even though, like I said, this team can still be good. I don't know if they're built to do that. I
Mm.
don't think they are. I don't think that's a ludicrous statement to say that they're not going to win a title this year. But can you show that you can win? Can you show that you can be a competitive team again? I think that's the goal.
Mm. Be a competitive team again. There you go. So Rohan's saying, hey, look, this year, can we be competitive and so that show that we're building in the right direction? Because then maybe we make the other offseason tools in the years ahead and
Yeah.
then really get back to where we're trying to
Yeah,
compete.
they're going to have a bunch of picks that are going to be able to be traded now. They're going to have some contracts that are going to be expiring. You have to be able to show, hey, we're going places. We can actually be a good team, and then you can start to build from there.
There you go, man. That's what it's all about. Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning for another KFTV game preview. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Look, man, shout out to all the franchise channel members that are in here. I know you guys always come through heavy to support us. Appreciate you as always. And remember, let me tell you something. Because you support us, you're supporting a local business. And let's talk about supporting a local business, all right? Because this episode is brought to you by Square, your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. These businesses are what make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home. When the neighborhood business thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. When you show up as a community, it can mean big business for local business owners. Money spent in the neighborhood stays in the neighborhood. Take this ad as an excuse to go support your favorite local spot and have yourself a day in the neighborhood. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/KFTV to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square, see you in the neighborhood. All right, let's keep this thing rolling. All right, Rohan, let's get into the nitty gritty of this matchup now. Okay, we
Let's
did the
do
whole
it.
storylines, we did the whole everything else. All right, now we got to talk about this game. All right, and I'm going to tell you this right now. Knicks want revenge. I want revenge. Okay, you guys got us early. You guys got us good. But it's got to stop right there. All right, it's got to stop right there. And look, uh, Bucks won 121 to 111. It was for us, it was the fourth game of the season, as well as it was for the Bucks. But now things are different. Who knows? You said as of right now, as we're recording, we don't know who's going to be playing that day. Uh, Giannis, I would not be surprised if he came back. All right. Somehow, some way, everybody likes to return when they face the New York Knicks, and they're all in Madison Square Garden. And I feel like that's just way too coincidental. And I believe that he will be back. I believe this man will be back on Friday in MSG to be like, oh, yep, I'm fine. And then next thing you know, we're going to see him do what he always does. But still looking for revenge. So let's talk about this, man, because coming into this game, from a Knicks perspective, when we played last, the thing that bothers me most about this Knicks team, and it continues to rear its ugly head from last season under Tom Thibodeau to this season under Mike Brown, it is the fact that this team cannot guard the three. Okay? This team can't guard the three to save their life. We give up the most made threes in the league right now if you go to cleaning the glass. So the accuracy, we are in the basement. Pretty sure we are 28th. I can confirm that right now. Give me 1 second. Let's see. When it comes to accuracy, all threes, New York Knicks, we are 26. Look at that. Not even 28th anymore. We
Hey,
got a little
moving
bit
up.
better. We're moving up in the world, man. We're just allowing teams to shoot 39% from behind the arc. No biggie. All right. That means you and I can go out there, put up a three because no one's going to be guarding us. So that's the big thing. And look, when we've last played the Bucks, they shot lights out from downtown. They shot 41% from three. So for me, coming into this matchup, I'm looking at can the Knicks actually slow down teams from the perimeter because as a team that likes to put up threes, I get that that's the whole mantra of the Knicks this season. Put up as many threes, good looks, and do the whole Boston Celtic thing by the numbers. However, if we're going to do that, we can't allow other teams who are good at shooting the three to do the same thing to us, just because then we're in a dogfight all over again. And God forbid you're not hitting your threes, and the other team is, especially when you have a porous defense, then you're really putting yourself behind the eight ball. So in this matchup, I'm looking at the 3-point shooting and seeing if the Knicks can slow down the Bucks from shooting from downtown.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. It's especially because the last time that the like in this last game, it was a back and forth battle. The Knicks got a double digit lead early. The Bucks came back in the third quarter and were able to erase that and take a lead. And a lot of that was because of that 3-point shooting that you were mentioning. It's been weird, especially because this was a game where the Bucks had their old starting lineup, which had AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr. in there,
Hmm.
which led like if you're gonna have two shooters out there, or in terms of shooting guards, like Gary Trent Jr. is a shooting guard who's playing the three, like that's just fact. Uh, it's going to be easier to do that. But now with Kyle Kuzma in the starting lineup, that actually might benefit the Knicks because he's been good for the Bucks, but it's not been from outside the arc. It's been mostly on drives and scoring at the rim and just being able to apply some rim pressure. Giannis, if he's returning, isn't going to give you much from three. Uh, but Miles Turner, if he's able to take those shots, Ryan Rollins, if he's able to take those shots, like still are, I think they're second in 3-point percentage in the league. They are. They're shooting 41.3% on the season, which is just ridiculous from three, but they're 10th in attempts or 13th, excuse me, in attempts per game from three.
Mm.
Like it goes back to what I was talking about with the offense. They're just not getting up enough shots. So it might not even be like in terms of like the accuracy. The accuracy is probably gonna be there for the Bucks, but it's like it's in terms of limiting the attempts because they tend to panic at the end of possessions when they don't know what to do, and they'll just try their best and take some weird turnaround fade that just does not work at all. But if you're able to pressure them on the perimeter, that's the way to stop them because they're not just going to be able. They're not a team that takes a ton of contested shots, takes a ton of contested threes. They really only take their open threes, which leads to their accuracy. Uh, but if you're able to just like make sure you shore up and not actually like give them any sort of breathing room, which I know has been a little bit of an issue for this Knicks team, but that's the key, right? Is to be able to stop them from getting in back into games from their lethal shooting. Uh, if Giannis is playing, be it's good because he's able to spray the ball and get that out to the perimeter. He tracks so much on defense. But if he is not playing, which we don't know yet, like you mentioned, it's going to be even more important to stop them from distance because that's how they stay in games. Is just the shooting.
It is a shooting. And look, the Milwaukee Bucks right now, when you look at the numbers, they are second in the NBA when it comes to 3-point shooting percentage. They're shooting 41% from downtown right now, and they're fourth in the league with the makes. They're averaging 15 made threes per game. Now, when you look at the attempts, they're close to the middle of the pack. They're 13th right now with averaging 37 attempts per game. But still, when you're hitting that type, even if you're not taking highly contested shots and you're hitting at that type of efficiency, then it's still like, all right, if we make more than you, then we're going to beat you at this point, just from downtown, just because it creates that much more of a buffer. So the Knicks, they really don't have much wiggle room to give the Bucks that much of an open look, and it's still even impressive through these 3 games that they're second in the league right now, where you talk about a lineup shift. So that's something to me that I'm going to be looking at in this game just to see if the Knicks can just slow them down and keep it within range. Now, getting to the next area that I'm a little concerned with is that, the Bucks are not necessarily like the fastest team out there according to NBAstats.com. Bucks are 20th right now. They're tied with the Grizzlies for being 20th in the league, averaging about 14 points per game when it comes to fast break scoring. However, in game number one, against these two teams, they went to town, 21 fast break points, while the Knicks only had 9. And then when you look at this Knicks team, they have some miscues when it comes to stopping teams in the fast break, but the Knicks are doing a little bit of a better job. They could still do a better job, but it's okay right now. They're 10th in the league right now when it comes to allowing teams scoring in the fast break, 14, close to 15 points actually per game, which is a little shocking because according to Fred Katz and James Edwards III, the Knicks haven't even played a top offensive team yet. So the fact that we're seeing these type of numbers for fast break points, this is a little concerning, especially if Giannis comes back. You talk about Kyle Kuzma liking to get downhill, guys who like to run. I'm wondering if the Knicks are going to be up for the task to slow down a team that is looking to get out in transition and score.
Yeah, it's really going to be it's going to come down to the Knicks offense in that regard. I think you just need to be able to take care of the ball, no live ball turnovers, and if you are getting up a lot of shots from deep, which the Knicks, like you said, like to do, you need to make sure that you are gang rebounding because like if threes, those are going to be longer rebounds, and that leads to more transition opportunities, which the Bucks will be able to feast on, especially if Giannis is back. It's just about limiting that and being able to make sure that every shot you take is a good shot. Because like I was saying earlier, the Bucks have just not been creating a ton of transition opportunities. That game was almost felt like an anomaly
Mm.
for the Bucks this season, where it's like, oh, it's cool. This is what you can do if you actually are able to maximize your team and their skill set. But it's like, have you been able to replicate it since? Not really. The Bucks have not really had a game like this since, where they're able to dominate the fast break points. It's just one thing that the Bucks are really, really susceptible to as well, which is offensive rebounding from other teams. Rebounding has killed the Bucks recently. It's just been such a point of contention, and a lot of that just comes with like Giannis missing time and having to have Bobby Portis in there, and it just becomes a big issue in terms of rebounding. They even started Jericho Sims last game alongside Miles Turner to make sure because they were kept on getting out rebounded. And that's a lot of why the Bucks have been able to or have been struggling with these fast break opportunities. So if you want to limit that, the fast break opportunities for the Bucks, just attack the glass because they will win that battle. The Bucks are very likely to lose that battle when it comes to fighting for available offensive rebounds or
Mm.
defensive rebounds for the Bucks, offensive rebounds for the Knicks. That's where you need to hurt them. And that's where teams have really been able to do damage against the Bucks and limit their transition opportunities is they just get more possessions. They're just getting these offensive rebounds and not letting them actually have these live ball possessions where they can just go out and run. They're just missing the chances. They're not getting the rebound. So it might not be in the ways that you expect to be able to limit Milwaukee, but I would say offensive rebounding is probably a good way to limit those fast break opportunities.
Getting those second chance opportunities and just limiting second chance opportunities. And look, when we talk about offensive rebounding for this team, the Knicks right now are third in the NBA, averaging about 14 offensive boards per game. They are sixth in the league right now, averaging 46 boards per game. When looking at the Bucks offensive rebounding, they are in the basement. They are
Dead
averaging
last.
dead last, baby. dead last, averaging 8 offensive boards. Woof, averaging 8 offensive boards per game. And then when you look at the total rebound numbers, they're not dead last, but they're close to it. They're 29th right now, and they're averaging slightly under 40 boards per game.
If
So
the only team you're above is the Nets, you're still last. You're still
this is
last.
true,
It
man. This
doesn't
is
count.
true. It doesn't count. Even if the net, it's like, if a tree falls in the woods, do you still do you hear it? I mean, if the Nets are last, are you still last? Yeah. The
Yeah.
answer is yes.
Yeah. You're last in terms of actual NBA teams.
Yeah. But there you go. So, hey, rebounding would be a key area. I know the Knicks will thrive there. And since we're talking about second chance opportunities, that's where the Knicks do thrive. They are fifth in the league right now, averaging slightly over 17 points per game on second chance points versus whereas I should say the Milwaukee Bucks are dead last, averaging 10 points off of second chance opportunities. And the good thing about that is that the Knicks are actually solid when it comes to doing that. They're sixth yet again when it comes to limiting opponents' second chance opportunities to 14 points per game. And the Milwaukee Bucks are, where are you right now? Why are you hiding on me? Actually, the Milwaukee Bucks are second when it comes to limiting second chance opportunities for opponents at 13. So there you have it. This should be an interesting to me. Then that should be an interesting battleground. Why is that? Why are they? Why are opponents? Why are the Milwaukee Bucks limiting second chance opportunities if they're not a good rebounding team?
It's a really interesting kind of paradox, isn't it? It just it doesn't make a ton of sense. And it's actually something I've been trying to wrap my head around as well, is why can't like let's address the rebounding first. It's just a lot of lazy box outs. No one's actually going for team rebounds. The only guy on the team who actually is fighting for rebounds are the only two guys are Ryan Rollins, who's your starting point guard. That's bad. That's he should not be the one who's jumping the highest and getting the ball. And Jericho Sims, who Knicks fans I don't need to talk about. Uh,
How do you like Jericho, man? Let's go.
I love Jericho. I
You
love
love
him.
Jericho.
I
Oh my
love
goodness.
Jericho. I'm a big supporter of Jericho Sims. He's an athletic big guy who will he can step out, he can hang with some guys on the perimeter at times. You're not worried about it as much as you would be some other players. I wouldn't say it's ideal, but it's not like the worst case scenario. He'll fight for rebounds, he'll set good screens. The Bucks are a really poor screen setting team, so he'll set good screens. He's a vertical spacing threat. I think he's only scored on dunks this year.
Mm.
He tried to take a floater in another game where you like no one was around him, and I was like, "Oh, this is not going to go well, is it?" It did not go well. So there's obviously he's a very limited player, but I love him because this team has been struggling with rebounding, and you ask Jericho Sims to get in there, you're going to be a good rebounding team again. So I've been really liking that, but it's an issue that it's just Jericho Sims who is your backup five, who doesn't play a ton when Giannis does play. Uh, and your starting point guard. No one else is really going to be able to do that. Miles Turner is not a skilled rebounder for his position. Giannis is a good rebounder for his position, but it's kind of like a lazy rebound, or it's like everyone else clears out and the ball just kind of finds his way to him. Uh, and then no one else, like you're just small. Like before with the old starting lineup of Gary Trent Jr. and AJ Green, like that's just two guys who are going to get overpowered by rebounder. It's like for normal sized NBA players who are, not sized down, uh, they're just going to get beat. And it perpetuates that issue. But from a perspective of limiting second chance points, the Bucks defense, when it actually is at the rim, which a lot of these offensive rebounding opportunities turn into either three-point attempts or they turn into shots at the rim because you have a smaller shot clock and you need to be able to teams like to take advantage right away. They have good rim protectors and they try to limit three-point shooters. So that's where you really try to get into that and why that actually pans out. Because even though they're giving up so many possessions, they're not actually letting teams maximize those possessions, if that makes any sense.
Mm.
Uh, which again, it just wastes time for a team that just needs more possessions in general. So it just feeds into your offensive issues as well. But even though they will give up a ton of offensive rebounds, the Knicks do need to make sure they capitalize on those opportunities that they get because a lot of the times the Bucks just get I feel like every time they give up an offensive rebound I'm like, oh, they got lucky there that they didn't score, oh, they got lucky there that they didn't score. And so it might end up just being luck. Like, it's too early to tell, and there just might be a game where the well gives out and just there's the floodgates are opening, and maybe that's this Knicks game. I've been waiting for it every game and it hasn't happened yet, so I'm just constantly on edge. But it's just making sure that when you get those offensive rebounds, reset for a good shot because the Bucks will be prepared if for quick shots.
Yeah. Okay. So there we have that kind of answers the paradox. That was, hey, Bucks are actually a pretty good team at limiting second chance opportunities, but they're not a strong rebounding team. Okay. So let's get into the key matchup though, Rohan. All right. Now that we
Let's do
got
it.
through some of the numbers. In this match, since we don't know if Giannis is going to play, even though I do
Let's
believe he
assume
will.
he does.
Let's assume he does.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with, let's assume that he does, but I won't go with him as the key matchup for today, just because to be on the cautious side, it doesn't make sense for me to be like, I believe that he's going to play, but since we don't have that confirmed yet, I'm going to go in a different direction for the key matchup. And to me, the big key matchup is Karl Anthony Towns versus Miles Turner. Now, looking at the past when, Cat ever faced Miles Turner when he was in that Indy uni, Cat always took him to task. And so I'm thinking in this matchup that you're going to get the same type of production from Karl Anthony Towns. Question will be, will Mitch be in this game or not? Even if so, we know that there's going to be instances where Cat and Turner are going to be matched up from time to time, and I'm expecting Karl Anthony Towns to go out there and go get his. Now, Towns hasn't been, shooting the ball effectively as of right now. He did have a phenomenal game against the Brooklyn Nets, but on the season, he is averaging 20, close to 23 points, on these shooting numbers, 45 from the field, 34% from downtown. So not the common, high percentage 3-point shots that we're seeing, but he's also getting 12 boards per game, averaging about a little over 3 assists. But I'm expecting him to go out there and continue his hot streak that he had against Brooklyn, just because when he does face Turner, he does have some success against him. What do you think about that matchup?
I think that is the key matchup, even regardless of whether Giannis plays or not. Is that high profile center matchup? Obviously, different tiers of high profile, but it's going to be like, these are the newish additions to the team. Obviously, not the first year of Cat in New York, but it is the first year of Miles Turner in Milwaukee. It is it's going to be a good matchup, particularly because in previous years, Cat has really killed the Bucks because they have not had they would just play drop defense on Cat, which is like, come on, like what are you doing? But the reason they did that is because they have Brook Lopez at center. Like you can't really do anything about it. You can't ask Brook Lopez to really go hang at the perimeter. And if you ask Giannis to do it, Giannis likes to, hover near the rim and he gives up a ton of corner shooting opportunities, which again, Cat likes to feast on. It's really about like, okay, the Bucks now have a mobile center. They now have a guy who can sort of hang. Is he going to be better than like what he's done in previous matchups against Cat? I don't know, but is Miles Turner going to be a better matchup for Cat than the Bucks have had in years past? I think yeah, of course he's going to be. Because let's say that you start off with Cat guarding Miles Turner and vice versa, right?
Hmm.
And you have Miles Turner playing defense against Karl Anthony Towns. What the Bucks have done, they've kind of evolved their defense this season. They used to be more of a more aggressive. They would tend to blitz screen Miles Turner super high, higher than level, and just get him really, really involved in those actions. And it hasn't really worked out because of Turner, but because there was no real backline help, because otherwise, like the smaller guy in that pick and roll defense is just going to get beat. The Bucks perimeter defense has not been great unless it's Ryan Rollins. Now you kind of have to play that way, and I should say after that they've started to go to more traditional drop defense with Miles Turner. However, you kind of need to modify that against Karl Anthony Towns. You need to be able to have him playing at a higher, like have Miles Turner playing at a higher level again and being more aggressive when you have Cat involved, because he's just going to pop out to the perimeter and kill you from deep. I don't know if this is going to be a super effective way to limit Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know if Miles Turner is the answer because, like you said, Cat's kind of feasted on Turner in the past. But from Buck's perspective, it can't get that much worse than it has already. So it might be a good result for Cat compared to just playing against Miles Turner, but it'll be a better result for the Bucks for what they think is the expected outcome compared to years past.
Wow, what a spin on it. I love it. It
Like,
can't get much
cause
worse, so let's
it
get to
can't. Like, what you were playing drop defense against Karl Anthony Towns, and that was always the problem with Brook Lopez and why it was time for him to, you know, not re-sign him. It was because there were so many centers in the East on the top teams that you were really, really worried about. Like it used to be Porzingis in Boston,
Mhm.
and Cat in on the Knicks. It's like those are the centers you really, really have to worry about because they can just annihilate your entire defensive scheme that you have to play with an older Brook Lopez just wanting to hang around near the rim and Giannis liking to hang around near the rim is just have just a lethal shooting big on the perimeter. And like when you look at the best teams, they all tended to have them. Like like I said, Boston had it, New York had it, Indiana had it, and the Bucks weren't really able to contain any of those guys. But now they not only took away one of those centers from a rival team, but now they have a guy who's more mobile and can help. I don't think Cat is going to be like he's not going to be neutralized by Miles Turner or anything like that. But it might play better to the Bucks' overall defense against the Knicks.
Hey, you know what's funny? Talking about Brook Lopez. So I decided to Google it just to see how he was doing on the season with the Clippers. And first thing that popped up, Sports Illustrated article saying Clippers have a major Brook Lopez problem. So
Yeah.
not too far off in what
I
you're
heard
saying.
Zach Lowe recently say it looks like Brook Lopez aged 10 years in one offseason. I'm like, no, he didn't. This is just how he was playing, but he doesn't have a Giannis to help cover up his mistakes anymore.
Oof. Well, but once was the young Brook Lopez on the Brooklyn Nets, killing it, is now a man who is just, we're just ushering him out at this point. Hey, it is what it is. But we'll see how this defensive matchup works and see how the Bucks are able to work against Towns in that matchup. And just even going back to that matchup and seeing how Towns performed against Milwaukee. Let's pull it up right here. Knicks, let's see. Towns actually didn't play great. He shot 2 of 12 from the field, only had 8 points. And now, granted, this was earlier on in the season when he was dealing with a quad injury. I'm very curious to see how he performs now, and especially with the changes to the Bucks starting lineup. It should be interesting to see how Towns, uh, you know, goes against Milwaukee in this one. Are there any other players that you're looking at in this matchup or any other key matchups, or I should say any other matches, because we went through the key matchup?
Yeah, I'm really going to be looking at again Ryan Rollins. I know I've mentioned his name a ton. I'm such a fan. I'm such a fan of his story, his development, and what he's turned into for this team. And just his I'm looking at it more from a defensive perspective. Like
Hmm.
he's going to have his hands full. I'm not saying he's going to stop Jalen Brunson. So you don't stop players like that. You try your best to not let them have 50-point games. That's what his job is. Can you make him be a little bit more of an inefficient shooter? Can you make him work harder to get his 30 points? Can you try to like wear him out? That's what you're looking. And Ryan Rollins, like looking back at that previous matchup, Jalen Brunson was 14 of 25 from the field, 36 points. Only 1 of 5 from deep, but still, he got where he wanted to go on the court, and he got his shots wherever he wanted them. It's more about like can you tire him out? Can you make him work? Can you really pressure him? Because Ryan Rollins is a guy who, even though Jalen Brunson is one of the craftiest players in the entire league, he is a guy who can hang with crafty players. And again, like I'm saying, he's not going to stop him. It's just not how it works. But if you can hold Jalen Brunson to maybe shoot like under 50% from the field, that would be a massive, massive win. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that would be my goal if I was Ryan Rollins.
That's a good one to look at just because of like the point guard battle and looking to slow down, our best player. If, Giannis does play, I think the guy who's going to have a lot of work, and I'm still looking at him to see how he performs, is Mikal Bridges, just because I would assume that the uh he would get the Giannis treatment. I would not put Karl Anthony Towns on Giannis. I mean, I'm sure he's going to get
That'd be
some
awesome. Why
up.
not do it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, great. That's exactly what I need to be pulling what is left of my hair on top of my head. So we'll see what's going on there. But no, I will say that look, I think for this matchup, Bridges, it's going to be by committee, just trying to slow down if Giannis does play. who is going to slow him down and see and like see if you can just, as you said for Brunson, just make it harder for him to get in transition, get him scoring or allowing him to score. So I'm looking at Bridges with with taking on the brunt of that challenge if Giannis does play. Even if he doesn't play, I'm looking at him to take the Kyle Kuzma matchup. As you mentioned, this is a guy who wants to get downhill and spray it out to the shooters. So trying to slow him down on the perimeter. On top of that, I'm looking for Bridges to continue to be that efficient and effective scorer. Since we don't have all of our top guys like playing, and I just got the notification right now. So Landry Shamet, according to Stephen Bondi, Landry Shamet sustained a sprain to his right shoulder. He has begun rehab and will be reevaluated in about 4 weeks. So we're not going to have Shamet.
Oof.
So he's out. I know Deuce played the other game against the Magic, and was there against the Nets. Mitch didn't play on Monday against the Nets. You know, um, Actually, what am I talking about? Deuce didn't play against the Magic. Now I'm going crazy. I'm just going crazy. I'm just talking to myself at this point. So look, while McBride is back, not sure about Mitch. The question is, will we if we're not gonna the I guess not the question, but the issue is that if we're not gonna have enough defense, then we got to go to a lot more offense. And if we're gonna do a lot more offense, not only do you need Brunson and Cat, but you're gonna need Bridges to help subsidize that too. And so that's where
Yeah.
I'm looking at for McCallum. This one's that all right. So if we don't got, even if Deuce is back, but we're not sure what's happening to Mitch. We don't have OG. Shamet, not necessarily a lockdown defender, but he gives you that energy and it's just a pest defensively. Now we're starting to lose guys. Are we going to have are we going to have the manpower to play a lot of defense? I don't think so. This team hasn't really shown it. Could be proven wrong against this matchup, but I do think with McCall and everybody else, offense is going to have to be a primary factor in this one.
Yeah, especially with the Bucks trying to be or tending to be a bigger team recently and trying to play bigger. Having like that OG injury really hurts because obviously he's the one who you want to be like taking a lot of the time on Giannis and things like that. But it becomes a lot more difficult and a more favorable matchup for the Bucks. And like I'm not saying like the Bucks are going to win this game. I don't I wouldn't feel confident about saying that. Uh, but what I will say is that unfortunately, due to the injuries all around, I think if you try to tend to be a bigger team, if you're the Bucks, that's probably a more favorable matchup than anything the Knicks would have because it's like if you for the Knicks, you actually have like your three strongest defenders in your starting lineup, or three of your strongest defenders in your starting lineup are actually at positions where you want to be able to, help guard the Knicks. So it's like you have your point guard to try to neutralize Jalen Brunson or not neutral, what I talked about earlier. You have Kyle Kuzma to really match up on Mikal Bridges, and you have Miles Turner and Giannis to really try and limit Cat. So it's like even though the Bucks are not the strongest defensive team, they have defenders at the positions where the Knicks like to attack most, and have to attack most, especially because of their injuries.
Yeah, for sure. This is where we'll see it all play out. This is where we'll all see it play out, Rohan. So
Yeah.
let's wrap this thing up and let's get to the last topic, the X Factor. So who's your X Factor in Friday's matchup against the Knicks?
X factor for Friday's matchup against the Knicks. I'm gonna go with AJ Green. I'm gonna go with
AJ
AJ
Green.
Green.
Why
This
AJ
is
Green?
I've been wanting to see him get double-digit three-point attempts every game. I want to see him because he's one of the best shooters in the league. Like there's no question about it. He has one of the purest shots and he can take contested looks, he can take whatever he wants. He can find a lot of open looks, especially when he's paired with some good screeners. He is such a high release point that it doesn't even matter. Like this man will shoot like he's like how tall is he? Like 6'5" or 6'4", and he shoots over Wemby. Like he is such a high release point. And if you are going to be able to, really kill the Knicks from three, it's going to have to start with AJ Green. He took 10 three-point attempts in the last couple of games. He's been trending upwards in terms of his shot attempts. it's almost like Doc forgets that AJ Green exists, and it's like hey, I'll say this for to watch. If AJ Green does not get a ton of 3-point attempts in the first half, or even if he does, look for one of the first three plays in the second half to be a design play for an AJ Green three. He loves to do that. It's like every time they go to the locker room, he looks at the stat sheet that they print out, and he's like, oh man, AJ only has like two attempts from deep. We need to get him involved. It's like maybe start doing that beforehand, Doc. So that's going to be my X factor because if he can get hot from distance, he can really start to carry this Bucks offense that really needs some outside help from guys not named Giannis or Ryan Rollins.
Okay, you're going with AJ Green. I'm going to go with Jordan Clarkson. I know what Josh
Ooh,
Hart's going to do, but once again, I'm leaning really heavy into this scoring output right now, just because. Look, if we're I don't it's if Giannis returns, I don't know how much defense is going to be played in that matchup. So I'm looking at a full offensive tilt, and so you need that from the bench as well. Josh Hart's been doing the damn thing. He's actually shooting the ball very well to start the season. We know what he can do: get out in transition, score, be a playmaker, get those rebounds, and start the fast break. I'm looking at Jordan Clarkson, who's been playing very well this season. Jordan Clarkson has been so instrumental to that bench after not having great bench scoring last year. Clarkson on the season right now, in his 19 minutes he's averaging 11 points, shooting 49% from the field, and shooting 34% from downtown. The 3-point number percentage can go up, of course, but just getting that type of production just from the field in general, shooting close to 50% from the field, that's what's been most impressive about him because he is getting downhill. He has that wiggle to just kind of maneuver around defenders and throw them off balance, not knowing which way he's going to go. And so with Clarkson, I really need more. I'm looking at him in this matchup just to continue with that high production and also give the Knicks that scoring punch they need off the bench to stay competitive in this one. So you got AJ Green, I got Jordan Clarkson. Those are some solid X factors right there. Rohan, my man, I appreciate you always coming through and helping me break down these games. Please let the listeners know where they can find you. If you got any work up and coming, we should be on the lookout for.
yeah, I mean, it's always fun for me. It's such a pleasure to be able to come on and talk some non-Bucks. It's a reprieve that I need. Uh, Speaking of, like, yeah, find me on the Eurostep podcast, co-host with Ty Windish. Like you said, on the Blue Wire Network, part of the Blue Wire family. So we actually, on our last pod, we did not talk about any current Bucks. We drafted players we've been thankful to cover over our last couple of years.
Oh wow.
It's because we just did not want to talk about
What that's great
Please.
content right there for Thanksgiving. How about it?
Yep. We just did not want to do it. So we're dropping multiple pods a week. We've upped. We used to be once a week, occasionally twice. Now we're at least twice a week over on the Eurostep podcast, and you can find me on Twitter at RKATTIJR, Arcadi Jr. And we'll be delivering some Bucks content all season long, and hopefully it's good stuff.
It is good stuff, man. You guys do a phenomenal job covering the Bucks, and appreciate you coming through as always, giving us that intel. And hey, if you gotta find them, just look, and you look down below our faces, gives you the handles right there to go find us on all social media platforms. So make sure to go give Rohan a follow. He does a great job covering the Milwaukee Bucks. Been having him on as a routine guest on here whenever talking about Bucks, man. Great person to get the intel from. Also, great person to talk basketball with, man. Absolutely.
Likewise.
So, and hey, just because I started with the show saying where the Knicks were in group play, first year, funny enough, they were in Group B with the Milwaukee Bucks. They were second in that group, while the Bucks were number one in the first year of that. Number two, Bucks won again, but the Knicks weren't in the Bucks group this time in Group B. They were in Group A, and they did actually win that one. They were number one in that one, so look at that. They did win that one, and then we all know how that happened. Played Atlanta, and then Trae Young decided to roll some dice. So that's how that ended. So let's not talk further about that because I don't feel like getting upset. But salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. Appreciate you all for coming through. Shout out to all of our franchise channel members. Shout out to all the mods, man, who do the damn thing. Shout out to you, TM, for being the chief mod in operation. All right, appreciate all you guys. Shout out to Gamma for the production. Shout out to the whole crew, CP, CK, everybody, man. Myra, all of you. Appreciate all you. Shout out to our writers. Make sure to go subscribe to our newsletter. We got a lot of of great written content over there. Everybody's doing the damn thing over there. Also, when you subscribe to the newsletter, it gives you updates about watch parties. It gives you updates about our merch. Not only do you get the written content as well, and it gives you updates about this channel too. So, God forbid anything happens, you'll always have the newsletter to keep you abreast on what's going on in the KFTV world. Okay, so make sure to go subscribe to that. Shout out to our sponsors, Square. Make sure to square.com/go/KFTV to support local neighborhood businesses. Also, use that promo code KFTV when you sign up for DraftKings. Remember, bet just $5, get up to $300 in bonus bets, plus free league pass for 3 months. All right, so make sure to go do that as well. And hey, appreciate you all for tuning in once again. Okay, so make sure to catch us for we're going to catch us for post game and play by play. All right. So we'll catch y'all later. We out.